If we've watched any perspective videos, then we've doubtless seen this box on a flat plane with perspective angle lines being drawn to 2 points on either side that line up on a straight line called the horizon or eye level, and those points where the perspective angles meet referred to as vanishing points. The most common way we tend to put this into practice is when we start to do a drawing to draw the eye level, the horizon line in, establish the vanishing points so that we can get consistent angles on our building. Getting perspective angles correct is important when we do drawings, particularly when there are some fairly extreme perspective angles, to have them look, well, real. When we don't get these angles correct, our drawings can start to look like this instead of this. When our vanishing points don't line up on the one horizontal line. In fact, even the elements within the one wall don't have perspective angles that line up on the same line as they should, let alone across both sides. But how do we deal with the problem when this box is our drawing paper and say this is what we want to draw, where we're going to draw it quite large on our paper? And even though it's not too hard to see that these angles will meet at some point and these angles will meet at some point, they are not going to fit on our paper. Suddenly, this neat little diagram isn't telling me everything I need to plot these vanishing points with accuracy. Now, I could just add paper underneath, besides being very awkward, because then I probably also don't have a ruler that's long enough to establish these points anyway. There's every chance that my table isn't wide enough. So what do? Let me show you a very simple way. Now, of course, we can just estimate these angles. And quite frankly, that's what I did when I drew this for a video. But if for some reason I wanted or needed to be more precise, this is a method I could use. So I draw whatever corner angle I'm wanting to start with. And now I draw one side. I could just copy the photo to get this shape, or I could make up something myself from my imagination at this point. Because the real problem is not so much drawing one side, but it's drawing the other side so that eye level will match, and therefore the perspective angles will match on one side what I've established on the other side. What I now do is I draw two horizontal lines in the direction of the side I haven't yet drawn, from the top and bottom of the right-hand edge. And now, as best I can, I estimate whatever angle I want. I now draw this angled line until it hits my lower horizontal line. When I've done that, I now go directly up until I hit my upper horizontal line. And now I join the two. Now, if I'd wanted this angle to be more shallow, I could have come out slightly and I could have had my edge here, and then I would have got my upper line there. But the important thing is that wherever this hits this horizontal line, that we get from this side of the object straight up and meet that from the top corner. Now, how do I know this is correct, particularly with a box, because it's not so obvious to see how it's going to look? Well, I can actually locate the vanishing points. There's one of them. And I can now locate this one, even though I didn't actually use a vanishing point to draw either of them. And now I join the two up. And if I've done this accurately, I get a nice horizontal line that's parallel to this line and to this line. What I can see is that by using this method, having drawn this side of my structure, I can now be confident that this side can be drawn to match this side. And I've also established an eye level. Now, without having drawn these, of course, I don't see this eye level just yet. But here's another very helpful tip to now position whatever details on each side of our structure we want. Firstly, I need to measure it. And so this is 70 millimeters. So I want the halfway point, which is 35. And now I want the halfway point again for each of those, which is going to be 17.5 mil. 0.5. I do the same thing here. I find the halfway point. So this is 36. This is 37 mil. So I need 13 and a half to get the halfway point. No, I need 18.5 mil. And I divide that in half again, and it's going to give me 9.25 mil. Now I join these lines together. And what you can see is, in fact, they all meet at the vanishing point. Now, why we could just do this for the closest side and then join to the vanishing point, remember, we're doing this on the assumption that we can't see the vanishing points. But what we now have is we have this angle spread quite neatly from this angle to that angle. And we can use these to help us position other details on the building. First, we'll do it on this side though. So let's say I want to put a door on the halfway side here. I do the diagonals to show me where the halfway down this side point is, allowing for foreshortening. So I'll just approximate here. A doorway. And I'll put a window on each side. I think I want the window to come up to here. So I just position a line that where the angle sits between the angles I already have. And let's say I just want to put 2 windows down this side. If the windows are going to be equally spaced and the same size as these windows, again, I just position a line where I think the angle sits happily between the angles above and below. And then I position a window on each side. Once I'd drawn the first side of this structure in place, I was able to accurately plot all the other lines without actually being able to plot the vanishing points that were off my paper. But I can double check in this case to see that this is indeed an accurate way of drawing using vanishing points when they're not actually on the paper. G'day, I'm Stephen Travers. I hope this has been helpful. As I said, generally when I draw, I try to observe carefully enough, use my understanding of perspective theory, but to actually freehand eyeball the perspective angles. But if for any reason I needed greater accuracy, where I can't actually put the vanishing points on the paper, this is a great way to do it. If this is a need that you have, I hope this has been helpful. Why not give it a go just to learn it? And even if you don't think this is how you want to draw regularly, it's great to give it a go and practice it in even just a small diagram such as this, so that if you're somewhere on location and you're having trouble matching up the perspective angles on one side of the building to the one you've already drawn, you have this technique available to use. But whatever you draw, however you draw it, make sure you have fun. I'll see you next time. Bye.